Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll dive into what if Naruto inherited a power the Avengers couldn't control. Smash that subscribe button, and be sure to peek at the description below. Let's begin. The nightmare did not smell like sulfur and fox fur. For 17 years, Naruto Uzumaki's bad dreams had been consistent. They were composed of iron bars, ankle-deep sewer water, and the oppressive, hateful heat of the Kyuubi. But the war was over. The fourth great ninja war had ended a year ago. Kaguya was sealed, Sasuke was redeemed, mostly, and the tailed beasts were free to roam, save for the halves of Kurama that had chosen to remain with his host. Peace had returned to the elemental nations. The nightmares should have ended. Instead, they had changed. Naruto stood in a vast, white void. It wasn't the sterile white of a hospital room, nor the blank canvas of a genjutsu. It was a white so profound it felt like the concept of emptiness had been given physical form. It was silent. A silence that pressed against his eardrums until they ached. Then, the sun rose. But it wasn't the sun. It was a man. He was a silhouette of golden brilliance, floating above Naruto, radiating a majesty that made the Sage of Six Paths look like a candle flicker in a hurricane. The golden man wore a costume of spandex and a cape that flowed like liquid metal, but his face was obscured by the sheer intensity of his own light. Naruto tried to move, to shout, to weave a sign, but his body was paralyzed. Not by fear, though that was there, cold and sharp in his gut, but by pressure. Gravity seemed to bend around the golden man. "It is too heavy," the figure whispered. The voice didn't come from the air, it vibrated inside Naruto's marrow. "I cannot hold it anymore. The box is breaking." "What box?" Naruto tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips. The golden light began to curdle. The edges of the man's brilliance turned a sickly, bruised purple. Tendrils of black, oily smoke began to pour from the man's eyes and mouth. The golden hero screamed, a sound of absolute, shattering despair. "The void comes?" The man wept, his light turning into a jagged, toothy darkness. "And there are no heroes left to stop it." The black tendrils shot downward, faster than a tailed beast's bomb, aiming straight for Naruto's heart. Naruto woke with a gasp, his hand clutching his chest. His apartment was dark, illuminated only by the pale moonlight filtering through the blinds. His heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. Thump. 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 He sat there for a long moment, sweat cooling on his skin, waiting for the panic to subside. Oh, a deep, gravelly voice echoed in his mind. "You're leaking anxiety all over the landscape, brat. Keep it down." Naruto let out a long breath, falling back onto his pillow. "Sorry, Kurama. Just that dream again." Inside the seal, the great nine-tailed fox opened one heavy eyelid. Kurama lay with his head on his paws, the massive gate behind him open, signifying their partnership. But even the fox looked unsettled. "That was not a normal dream," Kurama grumbled. "I couldn't see it." "I can see everything in your mind, Naruto. But when that dream starts, it's like a static wall. I go blind." "Maybe it's leftover stress," Naruto muttered, staring at the ceiling. "Kakashi-sensei said PTSD can be weird." "I am a construct of chakra made by the Sage of Six Paths," Kurama scoffed. "I know the difference between a stressed mind and an intrusion. Be careful, Naruto. Something is shifting." Naruto rubbed his face, swinging his legs out of bed. The digital clock read 5 a.m. Yeah? I'm going training with Sasuke today anyway. Maybe I just need to punch something. Or get punched, Kurama quipped, though his tone lacked its usual bite. The fox closed his eye, but he didn't sleep. He watched the darkness of Naruto's inner world, waiting for the gold to return. Somewhere outside of time and space, the necropolis of lost dreams, Dr. Stephen Strange, Sorcerer Supreme of Earth 616, was not a man easily prone to panic. He had bargained with Dormammu, outwitted Mephisto, and stared down the mad Titan Thanos. But as he stood in the pocket dimension designated Side Omega, his hands were trembling. "Status report." He barked, his cloak of levitation whipping around him in a frenzy. The dimension was collapsing. The fabric of this reality, usually a stable construct of geometric magic, was tearing apart like wet tissue paper. Tony Stark, clad in his bleeding-edge armor, hovered near a massive, crystalline containment unit. The device was the size of a cathedral, pulsing with a terrifying mixture of golden and necrotic purple energy. Containment is at 4% and dropping, Tony shouted, his voice modulated and strained. The structural integrity of the sarcophagus is gone, Stephen. Reed's equations were wrong. The energy isn't dissipating, it's condensing. It's not Richard's math that's the problem, Thor Odinson bellowed, swinging Mjolnir to deflect a stray bolt of reality-warping lightning that threatened to erase Black Widow. It is the spirit within. Reynolds is dead, but the power refuses to die with him. Inside the crystal prison, the corpse of Robert Reynolds, the sentry, floated. He had begged them to kill him. He had flown into the sun, he had been torn apart by Null, he had died a dozen times. But the entity, the dual force of the sentry and the void, was eternal. It was a cosmic mistake. A force of 1,000,000 exploding suns tethered to a psyche of infinite darkness. They had tried to lock it away in a dimension where time didn't exist, hoping it would sleep forever. It's waking up, Strange whispered, horror dawning on him. He began to weave the crimson bands of Sidorak, multiple mandalas of orange light flaring into existence. Tony, we need to reinforce the seal. If the void escapes into the multiverse without a host to temper it, it will consume everything. I'm trying, Stark yelled. But it's looking for a doorway. It's scanning for a biosignature. A crack appeared in the crystal. A sound like the breaking of a world's spine echoed through the dimension. It's not looking for a doorway, Strange realized, his third eye opening on his forehead, glowing with frantic insight. It's looking for a soul. Crack. The crystal shattered. An explosion of golden light blinded the Avengers. It wasn't just light, it was a physical force. It slammed into Thor, knocking the Asgardian backward as if he were a child. It stripped the sensors from Iron Man's suit. The energy swirled, a tornado of cosmic power that screamed with the voices of 1,000 schizophrenic gods. It ignored the Avengers. It ignored the Sorcerer Supreme. It bored a hole straight through the fabric of the multiverse, seeking a frequency that matched its need. Where is it going? Captain America yelled, shielding his eyes. Strange looked into the tear, into the swirling vortex of the unknown. It's leaving our reality. It found a match. Someone with a soul bright enough to attract the sentry, and broken enough to house the void. We have to follow it, Thor commanded, standing up, lightning crackling in his beard. If we don't, Strange said grimly, whatever world it lands on is already dead. Training Ground Beta, Kanahagakur. The morning air was crisp, smelling of pine and damp earth. The village was waking up, but out here in the training grounds, the silence was broken only by the sharp clack of kunai meeting sword and the roar of chakra. Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha were moving at speeds that would have been invisible to a normal human eye. Sasuke was a blur of black and purple, his Rinnegan active, swapping places with debris and logs to keep Naruto on his toes. Naruto, cloaked in the golden fire of his six-pad sage mode, countered with fluidity and brute force. Clang! Sasuke's Kusanagi blade met Naruto's truth-seeking rod. The ground beneath them cratered, sending a shockwave that stripped the leaves off the surrounding trees. You're distracted, Sasuke stated flatly, disengaging and flipping backward to land on a high rock. He sheathed his sword with a click. Your reaction time is lagging by 0.3 seconds. Against Kaguya, that would have killed you. Naruto landed on the grass, the golden cloak flickering before stabilizing. He rubbed the back of his neck. Give me a break, team. I didn't sleep well. Nightmares? Sasuke asked. His tone wasn't mocking. After the war, Sasuke had his own demons to contend with. Something like that. Naruto powered down, the golden chakra receding into his skin. He stretched his arms, feeling the stiffness in his joints. It's just... I feel weird today. Not sick. Just full, like I ate too much ramen, but in my soul. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. That makes no sense, Dobe. I know. Naruto kicked at a pebble. Kurama's been quiet all morning, too. It's like the calm before a storm, but there are no clouds. Sasuke looked up at the sky. It was a brilliant, cloudless blue. Perhaps you're just bored. Peace doesn't suit men of war. I'm not a man of war, Naruto retorted, grinning. I'm a man of love and peace. Believe it, Sasuke snorted, a small smirk tugging at his lips. Let's go one more round. Taijutsu only. If you win, I buy lunch. You're on. Naruto shifted his stance, preparing to launch himself. He channeled chakra into his legs, and then, the world tilted. It started as a hum. A low-frequency vibration that rattled Naruto's teeth. He froze, his eyes widening. Sasuke, Naruto said, his voice trembling. Do you hear that? Hear what? Sasuke's Sharingan spun, scanning the perimeter. I detect no enemies. No chakra signatures. Not chakra, Naruto gasped, clutching his chest. His heart gave a violent lurch, skipping a beat, then two. It's up. Naruto looked up. Above the training ground, the sky broke. It didn't tear like a fabric. It shattered like a mirror. A jagged hole of absolute blackness appeared in the zenith of the blue sky, ringed by purple lightning that didn't roar but hissed. What is that? Sasuke demanded, his Susanoo ribcage instantly flaring into existence around him, purple skeletal arms rising to defend. An Otsutsuki portal? No, Naruto whispered. He couldn't look away. He felt a pull, a magnetic attraction so strong it felt like hooks were sinking into his very essence. It's for me. Naruto, move! Sasuke shouted, launching himself forward. He was too late. From the rift, a beam of golden light descended. It was silent, instantaneous, and blinding. It struck Naruto Uzumaki square in the chest. There was no explosion. No crater. The light simply swallowed him. Inside the mindscape, chaos erupted. The massive sewer chamber where Kurama resided was usually dim and damp. Now, the water was boiling. The iron gates of the seal turned white-hot and melted into slag. Naruto! Kurama roared, slamming his paws against the rising tide of golden energy flooding the chamber. Block it! Reject it! But Naruto was nowhere to be found in the mindscape. The avatar of Naruto that usually spoke to Kurama was gone, dissolved into the light. The golden energy wasn't just power. It was information. It was memory. It was heavy, sorrowful, and infinite. It crashed into Kurama, burning the fox's chakra. Kurama shrieked, a sound he hadn't made since the Sage of Six Paths died, as the alien power began to overwrite the laws of their shared existence. It wasn't malice. It was occupation, and behind the gold, lurking in the shadow of the brightness, something giggled. A billion tiny, dark mouths opened in the corners of the mindscape, whispering, Found you. Konoha Hospital. Report. Tsunade Senju shouted, slamming the doors to the emergency wing open. We don't know, Lady Tsunade. Sakura Haruna was running alongside the gurney, her hands glowing with green medical chakra, but the light was flickering, unstable. His vitals they're impossible. Naruto lay on the gurney, thrashing wildly. His skin wasn't glowing with Kurama's chakra. It was glowing with a harsh, white gold radiance that radiated tangible heat. The metal rails of the bed were warping, melting under his grip. Heart rate is 300 and climbing, Shizen yelled, reading the monitor. Chakra network is gone. What do you mean gone? Tsunade demanded, grabbing Naruto's wrist to check his pulse. She immediately pulled back with a hiss. His skin was hot enough to blister hers. I can't find his chakra pathways. Sakura was crying, tears streaming down her face as she tried to pour healing energy into him. It's like his entire body has become a reactor. The Tenketsu aren't releasing energy. They're absorbing ambient matter. Clear the room. Tsunade ordered. Get everyone out. If he explodes, he'll take the village with him. Sasuke appeared in the hallway in a swirl of leaves. He looked disheveled, his cloak singed. Don't touch him, he warned, his voice tight. Sasuke! What happened? Sakura pleaded. He was hit by something, Sasuke said, staring at Naruto with his Rinnegan. His mismatched eyes widened in horror. I can't see inside him. My Rinnegan, it just sees a wall of light. Infinite light. Naruto arched his back, a guttural scream tearing from his throat. His eyes snapped open. They were white. Pure, glowing white. No pupil, no iris, no sclera. Just 2 miniature stars burning in his skull. Robert! Naruto screamed, the voice overlapping with another, a deeper, terrified man's voice. Get out of my head! The windows of the hospital blew out. Not from wind but from pressure. The building groaned. Sedate him! Tsunade roared, charging up a chakra scalpel. It won't work, Sasuke said, stepping forward. Genjutsu. Sasuke locked eyes with Naruto. Tsukuyomi. He dove into Naruto's mind. The mindscape. Sasuke landed in water, but it wasn't the sewer water he remembered from the war. It was a thick, black sludge that clung to his sandals. The sky of the mindscape was a swirling vortex of gold and purple. The giant cage was gone. In its place stood a watchtower, a modern, sterile-looking structure made of metal and glass, jutting out of the muck. Kurama? Sasuke called out. Uchiha. The voice was weak. Sasuke looked to his right. The nine-tailed fox was there, but he was wrong. Kurama had been chained to the ground by thick, golden bands of light. The fox looked shrunken, his massive form flickering as if he were being erased. What is this? Sasuke demanded, splashing over to the beast. He tried to cut the bands with a Chidori blade, but the lightning dissipated instantly upon contact. Do not touch it, Kurama wheezed. It eats energy. It eats chakra. It eats intent. Where is Naruto? Up there. Kurama nodded his snout toward the watchtower. He is, holding the door. The door to what? To the void. Sasuke looked at the tower. Standing atop it was Naruto. But beside him stood a man Sasuke had never seen, a blond man with long hair, wearing a golden costume. They were arguing. Sasuke jumped, landing on the tower's balcony. Can't control it, kid, you have to let me take over. The stranger was yelling, his hands gripping his head. You don't understand the math. The photons are unstable. I don't know who the hell you are. Naruto shouted back, grabbing the man by the cape. But this is my head. Get out. I can't. The man wept. I'm dead. I'm just the echo. The power needs a conductor. Naruto. Sasuke barked. Naruto spun around. Sasuke? Get out. It's not safe. Who is this? Sasuke pointed his sword at the stranger. He says his name is Bob, Naruto said, his eyes frantic. He says he's a superhero. He says he brought a monster with him. The stranger, Bob, looked at Sasuke. Run. Please. The sun is setting. What are you talking about? Sasuke narrowed his eyes. The sky of the mindscape turned black. The golden light that permeated the air vanished, replaced by a suffocating cold. From the black sludge below, a shape rose. It was massive, dwarfing Kurama. It was a spider, a squid, a shadow. It had 1,000,000 eyes, and all of them were looking at Sasuke. Hello, little ninja, the voice spoke. It sounded like scraping metal. You have such pretty eyes. Can I peel them? Sasuke felt a fear he hadn't felt since he was a child standing over his parents' bodies. This wasn't a bijou. This wasn't an alien. This was wrongness. Sasuke, go. Naruto shoved Sasuke. I'm not leaving you. You have to. Naruto's body began to glow again, fighting back the dark. I have to lock it down. If you stay, it'll eat your mind too, the shadow lashed out. A tendril of darkness thicker than a building swung at the tower. Naruto stepped in front of it. He caught the tendril with one hand. Boom. The impact didn't make a sound, it made a feeling. The feeling of being unmade. Naruto's skin cracked. Golden light bled out like blood. Go! He focused his will, and Sasuke was forcibly ejected from the mindscape. Konoha Hospital. Sasuke gasped, falling backward onto the floor, blood streaming from his left eye. Sasuke! Sakura was at his side instantly. We can't fight it, Sasuke stammered, gripping Sakura's arm hard enough to bruise. It's not a jutsu. It's a god. A crazy god. Naruto stopped thrashing. He sat up. The room went silent. The warping of the metal stopped. The heat dissipated. Naruto swung his legs off the bed. He was wearing his hospital gown, torn at the chest. He looked at his hands. The skin was flawless. The scars from his years of training were gone. Naruto? Tsunade asked cautiously. Naruto looked up. His eyes were blue again. But they were a brighter, more electric blue. And there was a calmness in his face that was terrifyingly unnatural. I'm okay, Grandma, Naruto said. His voice echoed slightly, as if he were speaking into a canyon. I put it in a box. Put what in a box? Kakashi asked, stepping into the room. Naruto smiled. It was the sentry's smile, golden, perfect, and completely devoid of humanity. The 1,000,000 exploding suns, Naruto said softly. I have to be careful now. If I sneeze, I might vaporize the land of fire. He stood up, and his feet didn't touch the floor. He hovered 2 inches above the linoleum. Naruto, get down, Tsunade ordered, her voice wavering. I am down, Naruto said. He walked, floated, toward the window. He looked out at the village. I can hear them. Everyone. I can hear the baby crying in Sector 4. I can hear the ants crawling under the foundation of the Hokage Tower. I can hear the heartbeat of a man in the Cloud Village. He clutched his head. It's loud. It's so loud. Naruto, focus on me, Kakashi said, moving to block his path. We need to seal your chakra. Naruto looked at Kakashi. It's not chakra, sensei. He raised a hand. He didn't form a Rasengan. He simply pointed at a cloud in the distant sky. Be gone. A beam of golden light, no thicker than a pencil, shot from his finger. In the distance, 50 miles away, a mountain range simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion. One moment the mountains were there. The next, there was a smooth, glass-like canyon cutting through the Earth's crust, extending into the horizon. The shockwave arrived seconds later, shattering the remaining windows of the hospital and knocking everyone except Naruto to the ground. Naruto stared at his hand, horror creeping back into his expression. The golden detachment shattered, replaced by the scared teenager underneath. I didn't mean to hit the mountain, he whispered, tears forming in his eyes. I just wanted the cloud to move. Sasuke stood up, wiping blood from his cheek. He looked at the devastation in the distance. Power that exceeded the Ten Tails, unleashed with a casual flick of a finger. We have a problem, Sasuke said. Atmosphere above Konoha. The sky rippled again. This time, it wasn't a jagged tear, but a precise, circular opening. Technology and magic woven together. A sleek, metallic jet lowered itself through the clouds. It was the Quinjet. Inside the cockpit, Tony Stark looked at his readings. Energy signature confirmed, Jarvis announced. The sentry force is localized. Subject is human. Adolescent. Vital signs are fluctuating wildly. He just erased the mountain range, Black Widow said, looking at the satellite feed on the console. With his finger, Thor stood at the loading ramp, Mjolnir in hand. He looked down at the ninja village below. He saw the strange architecture, the carved faces on the mountain, the people running in panic. This is a warrior culture, Thor observed. They will not give him up easily. We're not asking, Captain America said, pulling on his cowl. He grabbed his shield. If the void takes over that kid, this planet is dust. We extract the power, or we contain the host. And if we can't do either? Bruce Banner asked from the back, looking nervous. Doctor Strange floated behind them, his cape billowing. His face was grim. Then we do what we couldn't do to Robert, Strange said. We end it. The ramp lowered. The Avengers descended upon Konoha Hospital roof. Naruto stumbled out onto the roof, gasping for air. The air felt too thin. The sun felt too close. Every photon hitting his skin felt like it was charging a battery that was already at 200%. Make it stop, he begged the voice in his head. Robert, make it stop. I can't, the voice of the sentry whispered. You are the battery now. You have to learn to control the output. If you don't, he will come out. Let me out, the other voice, the void, hissed. I can fix it. I can make it quiet. I can kill them all for you, Naruto. No more pain. Just silence. No! Naruto screamed, golden energy flaring from his body like a solar flare. The concrete of the roof melted into magma beneath his feet. He fell to his knees, punching the ground. The entire building shook. Then, a shadow fell over him. Naruto looked up. Hovering above him were 6 figures. A man in iron armor. A soldier with a shield. A green giant. A woman in black. A wizard. And a god with a hammer. The man in the flag-colored suit stepped forward, floating down to the roof. He held his hands up in a gesture of peace, but his body was tense. "Son," Captain Rogers said, his voice projecting with authority. "My name is Steve Rogers. We need you to step away from the edge." Naruto stood up, swaying. His eyes glowed white, then flickered back to blue, then to red Kurama, then back to white. "Who are you?" Naruto asked, his voice distorting. "We are the Avengers," Tony Stark said, hovering closer, his repulsors humming. "And you are holding a nuclear bomb that doesn't belong to you." "Tony, stand down," Thor warned. He looked at Naruto with pity. "He is scared, man of iron. Look at him. He fights a battle within." Naruto clutched his chest. You brought this?" "We're here to fix it," Strange said, stepping forward, his hands weaving a spell of containment. "But you have to trust us. You have to let us take it back." "Take it back?" Naruto laughed, a broken, hysterical sound. "It's not a suit. It's burned into me. It's in my soul." Suddenly, 4 figures landed on the roof between Naruto and the Avengers. Kakashi Hatake. Sasuke Uchiha. Sakura Haruno. Sai. "Step away from the Hokage's student," Kakashi said, his Sharingan, hidden normally, but now exposed, spinning. He held a Raikiri in his hand, the lightning chirping aggressively. "We don't want to fight," Captain America said. "Then leave," Sasuke said, drawing his sword. His Rinnegan flared purple. "This is Konoha jurisdiction. You are invaders." "Invaders?" Iron Man scoffed. "Kid, look at the mountain behind you. Your friend there just rewrote geography. If he sneezes, he takes out the continent. We're taking him into custody. For his safety and yours." "Over my dead body," Sakura said, snapping her gloves on. "That can be arranged," the Hulk grunted, his eyes narrowing. "No!" Naruto screamed. He stepped forward, pushing past Sasuke and Kakashi. He looked at the Avengers. He could feel their power. The Hulk was strong, maybe as strong as the Third Reikage. Thor was vast, like a tailed beast. Strange felt like the Reaper Death Seal. "You want this power?" Naruto asked, his voice dropping an octave. The void rippled across his skin, turning the golden aura black. "Naruto, don't!" Robert Reynolds shouted in his mind. "I don't want it," Naruto whispered. "Take it!" He thrust his hand forward. He didn't know what he was doing. He just wanted the pressure out. A blast of negative energy, dark and chaotic, erupted from Naruto's palm. Strange threw up a shield of the Seraphim instantly. Thor threw Mjolnir. The blast hit the shield. The magic shattered. The energy wave hit the Avengers, knocking them out of the sky and sending them crashing into the village streets below. Naruto stood there, his hands smoking with black vapor. He looked at Sasuke, terror in his eyes. "I didn't mean to," Naruto sobbed. Sasuke looked at the smoking crater where the Earth's mightiest heroes had just been swatted like flies. "I know," Sasuke said grimly. "But I don't think they do." Naruto fell to his knees as the void whispered a congratulations in his ear. The war for the soul of the multiverse had begun. And it had started in the Hidden Leaf, Sector 4, Konohagakure, the impact zone. The dust tasted like copper and old stone. Tony Stark groaned, the HUD inside his helmet flickering a seizure-inducing pattern of red warnings. "System reboot," he muttered, shaking his head to clear the ringing in his ears. "Jarvis, talk to me. Did we just get hit by a tactical nuke?" "Negative, sir," the AI's voice was clipped, fighting through static. "That was a directed pulse of localized antimatter mixed with unknown biological energy. It appears the subject's defensive reflexes are more potent than anticipated." Tony engaged his thrusters, the repulsors whining as he pushed himself out of the debris of what used to be a tea shop. He hovered 10 feet in the air, scanning the street. The scene was chaotic. The Avengers, the team that had repelled alien armadas and killer robots, were scattered like bowling pins. Captain America was pulling himself out of a crater in the cobblestone, his shield still strapped to his arm, though the vibranium was humming audibly from the impact. Black Widow was perched on a rooftop, reloading her widow's bite, her eyes scanning the perimeter with predator-like focus. Nearby, a pile of timber exploded outward. The Hulk roared, a sound that shook the roof tiles of every building within a 3-mile radius. The green Goliath looked less injured than annoyed, swatting away a wooden beam as if it were a toothpick. Little Gold Man hit hard. Hulk bellowed, slamming his fists together. Hulk hit back. Stand down, Hulk! Steve Rogers ordered, tapping his comms. Thor report. Strange? I am here, Captain, Thor's voice boomed from above. The god of thunder descended from the sky, electricity arcing off Mjolnir. He looked grim. The wizard is shielding the civilians from the fallout, but we have stirred a hornet's nest. Tony looked up. His sensors finally cleared, overlaying the environment with tactical data. Cap? Tony said, his voice tightening. We've got company. And I'm not talking about the friendly neighborhood watch. Surrounding them, perched on rooftops, water towers, and utility poles, were dozens of figures. They wore flak jackets, forehead protectors, and masks. They didn't move. They didn't make a sound. They just radiated an intensity that made Tony's proximity. Alarm scream. Konoha had mobilized. Konoha Hospital. Emergency command post. Lock down the perimeter. Shikamaru Nara barked into his headset, his mind racing through 100 simulations a second. Choji, secure the east gate. Ino, link the sensory division. I need to know exactly how many intruders we're dealing with. Lee Tenten, reinforce the hospital guard. Inside the hospital room, Tsunade stood over Naruto's unconscious form. The boy, no, the young man, was floating 3 inches off the bed. The golden aura had dimmed, but the heat radiating from him was still enough to make the air shimmer. They survived, Sasuke said, standing by the window. He was peering through the blinds, his Sharingan active. Naruto hit them with enough force to level a fortress, and they stood up. Who are they? Sakura asked, her hands trembling slightly as she refreshed the diagnostic seals on Naruto's chest. Are they Otsutsuki? No, Sasuke replied, his grip on his sword tightening. They are human. Mostly. But their energy signatures are bizarre. The big one has no chakra, just gamma radiation. The metal one is pure technology. The one with the shield, he feels like a normal man, but amplified. I don't care who they are, Tsunade growled, cracking her knuckles. They attacked my village. They attacked my grandson. They aren't leaving this crater alive. Wait, Kakashi Hatake stepped forward, his eyes serious. Naruto attacked them first. Accidentally, but he did. If we go out there looking for blood, we start a war we might not be able to finish while Naruto is in this state. So what do you suggest, Hokage? Tsunade snapped. Defense, Kakashi said. We hold the line. We don't let them near Naruto. But we try to talk. If they force our hand, then we kill them. Suddenly, the building shook. A roar echoed from outside, followed by the sound of metal crunching against stone. I think the time for talking just expired, Sasuke said. He vanished in a swirl of leaves. The streets of Konoha. The standoff had lasted exactly 30 seconds. It broke when a nervous Chunin, panicked by the Hulk's roaring, threw a paper bomb kunai. Captain America caught the kunai out of the air. He saw the burning tag and threw it upward instantly. Boom! The explosion harmlessly dissipated in the air, but the signal was clear. Engage! A frantic voice shouted from the rooftops. Containment protocols? Cap ordered. Don't kill them. Just incapacitate. Easier said than done, Cap. Spider-Man, who had stowed away, though Tony had told him to stay on the Quinjet, would have said if he were there. But he wasn't. Instead, Tony Stark took the lead. Targeting systems active, Iron Man announced. He raised his palms. Let's see what these ninja tricks are made of. A swarm of insects, literal millions of them, erupted from a balcony. Shino Aburame stood there, hands in his pockets. The bugs formed a black cloud, descending on Iron Man. Biological mass detected, Jarvis warned. Sir, they are eating the energy from the repulsors. They are eating the battery? Tony yelped, boosting his thrusters to backflip away. Gross. Flare countermeasures. Iron Man released a burst of blinding magnesium flares and sonic pulses. The bugs scattered, disoriented. But before Tony could recalibrate, a feral snarl came from his left. Kiba, Inuzuka, and Akamaru, spinning like a drill, slammed into Iron Man's side. Fong over Fong! Warning, impact trauma, Jarvis droned. I know! Tony grunted, spinning in midair and blasting Akamaru with a stun beam. The giant dog yelped and skidded back. Okay, the dog is huge. Why is the dog huge? On the ground, Steve Rogers was dancing. It was a dance of violence. Rock Lee, moving with the weightless grace of a leaf in a hurricane, launched a flurry of kicks at the captain. Steve blocked with his shield. Clang, 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 the vibranium absorbing the kinetic energy. You are fast, son! Steve shouted, ducking a high kick that would have taken his head off. He shield bashed Lee's chest, sending the boy sliding back. You are strong! Lee yelled, his eyes burning with the flames of youth. But can you match the Lotus? Lee unwrapped the bandages on his arms. Oh, that doesn't look good, Steve muttered. Meanwhile, the Hulk was having the time of his life. Puny walls! Hulk roared, smashing through a storefront to get at a giant, red-armored tank of a man. Choza Akimichi, in full expansion jutsu, wrestled with the green Goliath. It was a clash of titans. Choza, 50 feet tall, grappled with the Hulk, who was rapidly growing in size due to anger. Expansion jutsu? Bruce Banner's mind whispered somewhere deep inside. Fascinating mass displacement. Hulk smash balloon man! Hulk yelled, grabbing Choza's finger and flipping the giant ninja over his shoulder. Choza crashed into the street, crushing a hot spring. Don't hurt the village! A pink blur descended from the sky. Sakura Haruno didn't use jutsu. She didn't use tricks. She screamed, Shinaro! And punched the Hulk directly in the face. The impact created a shockwave that shattered windows 3 blocks away. The Hulk skidded backward, digging deep furrows into the earth with his heels. He shook his head, looking at the small, pink-haired woman. He spat out a tooth. Then the tooth grew back. Hulk grinned. Girl hits like train. Good, Sakura panted, her knuckles smoking. He took it? That punch knocked Kagaya sideways. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Thunder rumbled, not from the weather, but from chakra. Sasuke Uchiha stood on a power line, his sword drawn. Lightning chirped in his left hand, the Chidori. Thor Odinson hovered opposite him. You wield the lightning, Thor said, impressed. But you are not of the storm. I control the storm, Sasuke corrected. Kirin. Sasuke raised his hand. The clouds above instantly formed a dragon of pure electricity, roaring down at the Asgardian. Thor laughed. A dragon? How quaint! Thor raised Mjolnir. He didn't block the dragon, he caught it. The massive electrical beast slammed into the hammer, and Thor absorbed it, his armor glowing white-hot. Return to sender! Thor shouted, redirecting the lightning back at Sasuke in a focus beam 10 times the size of the original attack. Sasuke's Rinnegan flared. Ameno Tajikura. Sasuke swapped places with Thor's hammer. Thor found himself holding nothing, while Sasuke appeared in midair next to him, sword wreathed in black flames. Amaterasu. Enough! The voice didn't come from the combatants. It came from everywhere. A golden pulse, gentle but firm, swept across the battlefield. It didn't knock anyone down. It simply made them stop. It was a wave of absolute, crushing authority. It felt like gravity had increased tenfold, forcing every ninja and Avenger to their knees. At the hospital window, the blinds were gone. Naruto Uzumaki floated there. He was asleep. His eyes were closed. But his body was upright, arms spread in a T-pose. The golden aura around him was pulsing like a slow heartbeat. Be quiet. The voice wasn't Naruto's. It was the sentry's voice, filtered through Naruto's vocal cords. It was the voice of a man who was trying very, very hard not to break the world. Konoha Hospital, Recovery Room 4. The truce was uneasy, to say the least. The room was crowded. On one side stood the Konoha leadership, Kakashi, Tsunade, Sasuke, Shikamaru, and Sakura. On the other side, Captain America, Tony Stark, Thor, and Bruce Banner, who had been given a very large robe to cover his shredded pants. Naruto lay in the bed, unconscious again. The golden levitation had ceased, but his skin still had a faint, pearlescent sheen. Dr. Stephen Strange hovered over the bed, his hands glowing with eldritch sigils. He was sweating. Well? Tsunade demanded, her arms crossed. You're the Sorcerer Supreme. What did you find? Strange lowered his hands, looking exhausted. It's complicated. Simplify it, Sasuke said, his hand resting on his sword hilt. Your friend, Strange began, looking at the ninja, is currently the host for a multiversal entity known as the Sentry. And his shadow, the Void. We know about the Kyuubi, Naruto muttered in his sleep. This isn't a tailed beast, Tony Stark interjected, pulling up a hologram from his wrist gauntlet. Look at this scan. I tried to map his bioenergy. You guys run on this. Chakra stuff, right? Physical and spiritual energy mixed? Correct, Sakura said. Well, Tony pointed to the jagged red lines on the graph. This kid's chakra system is being rewritten. The Sentry energy, which is basically the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns compressed into a human soul, is fusing with his life force. His cells are turning into fusion reactors. Exploding suns? Kakashi repeated, his visible eye widening. 1,000,000 of them? Hyperbole, Thor rumbled, leaning against the wall. But only slightly. The Sentry defeated gods. He tore Ares, the god of war, in half with his bare hands. He is formidable and unstable, Bruce Banner added softly. He looked at Naruto with profound sadness. The man who held this power before, Robert Reynolds, he was a schizophrenic agoraphobe. The power responds to the mental state of the user. If Naruto is stable, he's the greatest hero the universe has ever seen. If he breaks, the Void comes out, Strange finished. And the Void is an extinction-level event. Silence descended on the room. So, Tsunade said, her voice deadly calm. You came here to kill him. The Avengers tensed. We came to contain the threat, Steve Rogers said firmly. We hope to extract the power. To put it back in the box. But we can't, Strange admitted. Why not? Sasuke asked. Because of the fox, Strange said. He gestured to Naruto's stomach. The seal that holds the nine-tailed fox. It's a masterpiece of dimensional binding. When the Sentry force hit Naruto, it didn't just enter his body. It got sucked into the seal. The fox, the boy, and the Sentry have formed a triad. They are 3 legs of a stool. If I pull the Sentry out, the seal collapses, the fox dies, and the boy dies. So he's stuck with it, Kakashi concluded. And we are stuck with the danger, Tony said. Look, we can't just leave him here. No offense, but your tech level is futile. You have magic, sure, but can you monitor quantum fluctuations? Can you sedate a reality warper? We have seals, Jiraiya would have argued, but he was gone. We can handle our own, Tsunade said stubbornly. Naruto mastered the Kyuubi's hatred. He can master this. The Void isn't hatred, Banner said, walking closer to the bed. He looked down at Naruto's sleeping face. The Hulk is rage. Pure, hot rage. But the Void? It's not an emotion, it's the absence of one. It's depression. It's the voice that tells you nothing matters. It's the urge to jump off the bridge. Can he master that? Naruto stirred. His eyes opened. They were blue. I can hear you, he whispered. The mindscape. Naruto sat on the water. The black sludge had receded, but the water was still murky, gray and lifeless. The golden man, Robert, sat across from him, cross-legged. He looked tired. They're talking about me, Robert said. They're talking about us, Naruto corrected. Naruto looked around. The giant gate of the seal was twisted, the bars glowing with a soft, golden light. Kurama was behind them, but the fox was small, the size of a regular horse now. He was curled up, exhausted. The wizard is right, Kurama grumbled, not lifting his head. I can feel it. This power, it's heavy, Naruto. It's like carrying a mountain on my back constantly. I'm using almost all my chakra just to filter it so it doesn't burn your nerves away. I'm sorry, Kurama, Naruto said. Don't apologize, Robert said. It's my fault. I shouldn't have come here. I should have stayed dead. Naruto looked at Robert. Who are you really? I'm Bob, the man sighed. I was a junkie. I broke into a lab looking for a high, drank a glowing vial, and became God. Not a great origin story. I was a pariah, Naruto offered. Everyone hated me because I had a monster in my gut. I painted the Hokage faces just to get people to look at me. Robert smiled, a sad, fleeting thing. I made everyone forget I existed because I was afraid I'd kill them. We're opposites, kid. You shouted for attention. I hid from it. Suddenly, the water rippled. A black tentacle rose from the surface, wrapping around Robert's ankle. No, Robert whispered. Get away from him. Naruto yelled, forming a Rasengan. But the Rasengan didn't form. Instead, a black orb of antimatter appeared in his hand. It felt cold. It felt good. Use it, a voice hissed. Kill the intruder. He's weak. You're strong. Naruto shook his hand, dispelling the orb. No! I don't want this. You don't get a choice, the void laughed. I am the shadow cast by the light. As long as you shine, Naruto Uzumaki, I will be here. Konoha Hospital, Recovery Room 4. Naruto sat up, swinging his legs over the side of the bed. Naruto? Sakura stepped forward. I'm okay, Naruto lied. He looked at the Avengers. You guys are loud. Sorry about the roof, Tony said, retracting his faceplate. And the mountain. And the fight. You guys are strong, Naruto said. He looked at Bruce Banner. You're the one with the monster? Bruce nodded. Yeah. That's me. Does it ever go away? Naruto asked, his voice small. The feeling that you're going to hurt someone? Bruce looked at the other Avengers, then back at Naruto. He pulled up a chair and sat down. No. It doesn't. But you learn to live with it. You learn to steer the car, even if you can't take your foot off the gas. We have a proposition, Captain America said. We can't extract the power. And we can't leave this world unprotected if the void manifests. So we stay. Stay? Kakashi raised an eyebrow. In Konoha? We have a Quinjet, Tony said. I can park it in your Forest of Death? Catchy name, by the way. We can set up a monitoring station. We can help you train him. Train him to do what? Sasuke asked. To be an Avenger, Thor said, grinning. Or at least, to not blow up the planet. I can teach him to control the storm. Strange can teach him mental fortification. Stark can annoy him into resilience. Hey! Tony protested. Tsunade looked at Naruto. What do you want to do, Naruto? It's your decision. Naruto looked at his hands. He could feel the power thrumming under his skin. It was terrifying. But looking at these strangers, people who had dealt with gods and monsters and lived, he felt a glimmer of hope. I don't want to hurt anyone else, Naruto said. If you guys can teach me how to keep the lid on this, then stay. It's settled then, Steve Rogers said. He extended a hand. Welcome to the team, son. Naruto took the hand. Crack. It happened instantly. As skin touched skin, a feedback loop occurred. The super soldier serum in Steve's blood reacted to the sentry energy. Naruto's eyes rolled back in his head. Naruto! Sasuke shouted. Naruto didn't convulse. He froze. The room darkened. The lights in the hospital exploded. What's happening? Tony yelled, his armor lighting up. Energy spike. It's off the charts. Naruto opened his mouth, and a sound came out. It wasn't a scream. It was a radio broadcast. Casualties in New York. Thanos has the stones. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Voices from the multiverse. Memories of the Avengers that hadn't happened yet, or had happened in other timelines. The sentry power was connecting Naruto to the timeline of the visitors. Then, the voice changed. It became deep, distorted, and demonic. Nice to meet you, Steve. Naruto's hand turned black. The blackness spread up his arm, consuming the orange of his jumpsuit. Captain America tried to pull away, but he was stuck. I can't let go. He's draining me. Hulk! Steve yelled. The Hulk roared and grabbed Steve, ripping him away from Naruto with a force that dislocated the captain's shoulder. Steve flew back, crashing into the wall. Naruto stood up. But it wasn't Naruto. Half of his face was Naruto Uzumaki, blue eye, whisker marks, tanned skin. The other half was a void. A black, featureless silhouette with a single, glowing purple eye. So many heroes, the void. Naruto spoke, the voice oscillating between Naruto's boyish tenor and a grinding growl. So much delicious guilt. He looked at Sasuke. You killed your brother. You enjoyed it for a second, didn't you? Sasuke flinched, his eyes widening. He looked at Sakura. You still think you're useless. You think they only keep you around because they pity you. Sakura gasped, stepping back. He looked at Tony Stark, Merchant of Death. You didn't save the world. You just bought it more time to die. Shut him up! Tony shouted, charging his repulsors. Don't shoot! Strange yelled. It's a psychic projection. If you attack him, his mind will shatter. Then what do we do? Tsunade screamed, charging her chakra. The void Naruto smiled. The smile stretched too wide, splitting the black half of his face. Run, he whispered. A wave of purple energy exploded from his body. It wasn't an attack. It was a reality warp. The hospital room stretched. The walls elongated into infinity. The floor turned into a field of dead gray grass. The ceiling became a sky filled with rusted gears and weeping eyes. Genjutsu? Kakashi asked, lifting his headband. Kai, it's not a genjutsu. Strange yelled, creating a mystic shield around the group. He's rewriting the local reality. We're in his head. Welcome to my world, the void said, spreading his arms. The black tendrils shot out from his back, turning into massive, shadowy snakes. Kurama! Naruto's voice screamed from somewhere inside the darkness. Help me! But Kurama was silent. In the center of the twisted reality, Naruto stood, fighting for control. But the void was strong. It fed on insecurity. And Naruto, despite his bravado, was a lonely orphan who had spent his life begging for acknowledgement. The void wrapped a hand around Naruto's throat. Let go, boy, the void crooned. Let me drive. I can make the pain stop. I can make them all love you. Or fear you. It's the same thing. Naruto gasped, his vision blurring. He looked at the Avengers and his friends, trapped in the nightmare he had created. No, Naruto wheezed. He clasped his hands together. Shadow clone jutsu. Poof. 1,000 clones appeared. But they weren't orange. They were golden. 1,000 golden sentries filled the nightmare dimension. Get out of my house! The million Narutos screamed in unison. They charged the void. The sheer volume of light blinded everyone. The reality shattered like glass. Konoha Hospital. Real world. The group slammed back into reality. Naruto collapsed on the bed, convulsing. The blackness on his skin receded, steaming away like dry ice. Code Blue! Sakura yelled, diving for him. His heart stopped. Clear! Tony Stark shoved Sakura aside, charging his gauntlets as defibrillators. I've got this! Charging to 200 joules. Thump! Naruto's body arched. Again! Tsunade ordered. Thump! Naruto gasped, sucking in a lungful of air. He collapsed back onto the pillows, unconscious. The room was silent, save for the beeping of the monitor and the heavy breathing of the heroes. Tony Stark retracted his helmet. He looked pale. Okay, Tony said, his voice shaking. New plan. We don't just train him. We build a cage. A really, really big cage. Sasuke looked at Naruto, then at the Avengers. We will help you, Sasuke said. But know this, Sky people. If you try to hurt him while he is down, I will send you to a dimension you cannot return from. Thor stepped forward, offering his hand to Sasuke. Deal, Lightning Bringer. Outside the window, the sun began to set, casting long, dark shadows over the village. High above, in the cold vacuum of space, a pale man with horns and white skin paused in his flight. Urashiki Otsutsuki tilted his head. What is that delicious light? He mused, licking his lips. It tastes like a star. He changed course. The Hokage's office. Kanehigakure. The silence in the Hokage's office was heavy enough to crush a diamond. It was a room that had seen the end of wars, the death of leaders, and the signing of treaties that defined the history of the elemental nations. But today, it hosted a meeting that defied the laws of physics, geography, and reality. Kakashi Hatake sat behind the desk. He wore his full Hokage robes, the hat resting on the table in front of him. His visible eye was half-lidded, projecting an air of bored detachment that anyone who knew him recognized as extreme alertness. Behind him stood Sasuke Uchiha, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, his Rinnegan deactivated but his hand never straying far from his sword. Tsunade Senju sat in a chair to Kakashi's right, radiating a killing intent so potent it was making the tea set rattle. On the other side of the desk stood the visitors. Captain Steve Rogers, Captain America, stood front and center. He had removed his helmet, revealing a face that was honest, rugged, and currently very tired. To his left was Tony Stark, out of his armor, wearing a black undersuit that glowed with soft blue lines. Thor Odinson stood by the window, looking out at the stone faces on the mountain, seemingly fascinated by the carving of Hashirama. "Let me clarify," Kakashi said, his voice smooth, breaking the silence. "You are from another dimension. A reality where humanity developed technology instead of chakra. You are a team of superheroes, a term I assume is analogous to S-rank shinobi, and you are here because a sentient energy mass called the Sentry has decided to take up residence in the stomach of my student." "That's the elevator pitch, yeah," Tony Stark said, tapping a holographic interface projecting from his wrist. "Though calling it an energy mass is like calling a tsunami a moisture event. It's a multiversal cancer, and right now, your boy is patient zero." "Watch your tongue," Tsunade snapped. "Naruto is not a disease. He is the savior of this world." "He saved this world," Steve Rogers interjected gently, raising a hand to forestall an argument. "We respect that, Lady Tsunade. We've seen the damage outside. The crater. The mountain. We know power when we see it." "But that's exactly the problem." Steve took a step forward, placing his hands on the back of a chair. "The Sentry isn't just power. It's a psychological condition manifest as a god. It drove Robert Reynolds, a good man, insane. It forced him to beg for death. And when he died, we thought the nightmare was over. Instead, it came here. And you want to extract it," Kakashi said. "We have to," Tony said. "Look, no offense to your village hidden in the leaves, but your tech is wood-burning stove level compared to what's needed to contain this. You guys manipulate, what do you call it? Chakra? That's biological energy. The Sentry is cosmic energy. It's antimatter. It's reality warping. If Naruto loses control, and he won't just blow up a mountain. He'll rewrite the laws of physics for this entire solar system. You'll wake up tomorrow and gravity will be purple." "Naruto is a Jinchuriki," Sasuke spoke up from the shadows. His voice was cool, sharp. "He has held the hatred of the nine-tailed fox since the day he was born. He mastered a beast that can turn nations to ash. Do not underestimate his will." "We aren't underestimating his will," Thor turned from the window, his face grave. "We are fearing the shadow. The fox is a beast, yes? A creature of instinct and rage? More or less," Sasuke conceded. "The void is not a beast," Thor said, his voice dropping to a rumble. "It is the darkness in the heart of the light. It is intelligent. It is cruel. And it knows your secrets. I saw what happened in the hospital room. It used your own traumas against you. The fox breaks bones. The void breaks minds." Kakashi leaned back in his chair, tapping his fingers on the desk. He assessed the threats. The blonde one, Thor, was a powerhouse. Kakashi's Sharingan, metaphorically speaking, as he no longer had it, though his instincts remained, told him that man could trade blows with Madara. The metal one, Stark, was a genius. Dangerous. The soldier, Rogers, was the leader. A strategist. And the one not in the room, the wizard, Strange, was currently with Sakura and Shizen, preparing the containment room. "We are not handing Naruto over to you," Kakashi stated flatly. "He is a citizen of Konoha. He is a war hero. And he is my student. If you attempt to take him off-world, we will treat it as an act of war." Steve Rogers held Kakashi's gaze. There was a moment of tension, two soldiers measuring each other's resolve. "We don't want a war," Steve said softly. "We just want to save the kid. And if we can't save him, we want to make sure he doesn't take everyone else with him. Then we work together," Kakashi proposed. "Here. In Konoha. You share your knowledge of this Sentry. We share our knowledge of sealing jutsu. We try to stabilize him. And if we can't?" Tony asked. Kakashi's eye hardened. "Then we deal with it. Our way." Konoha Hospital, Research Wing, Lab 4. The clash of civilizations was most evident in the laboratory. Sakura Haruno was arguably the greatest medical ninja in the world, having surpassed her master, Tsunade. She was brilliant, precise, and deeply knowledgeable about the human chakra network. Tony Stark was a futurist who had solved time travel. Currently, they were arguing over a microscope. "I'm telling you, the cellular mitosis is impossible," Tony said, gesturing wildly at the holographic projection floating above the table. "Look at the ADP production. His mitochondria aren't producing energy. They're channeling it from a subspace dimension. He's not human anymore. He's a biological portal. He is human," Sakura argued, slamming a heavy scroll onto the table. "Look at the chakra chart. The Kirakurai is intact. The Tenketsu are swollen, yes, but they are still functioning. He is circulating the foreign energy through his chakra pathways. If he were a portal, his body would have disintegrated. It should have disintegrated," Tony countered. "That's my point. The amount of energy flowing through his femoral artery right now is enough to power the eastern seaboard for a decade. Why isn't he popping like a balloon?" "Because of the Uzumaki lineage," Sakura explained, unrolling the scroll. It displayed a diagram of the human body overlaid with complex sealing scripts. "Naruto's clan possesses vital force that is anomalously high. His life force is dense. It's acting as a buffer, an insulation layer for your cosmic energy." Tony peered at the scroll. He squinted at the calligraphy. "Wait. Are these instructions? This looks like calligraphy." "It is Fuinjutsu," Sakura said. "Sealing techniques. It's how we program chakra. It's code, written in ink and blood." Tony paused. He looked at the scroll, then at his hologram, then back at the scroll. His eyes widened. "It's a containment field. A localized spatial lock. You write code, on paper, to alter reality?" "Essentially," Sakura said, crossing her arms. "That is incredibly analog," Tony muttered, but he sounded impressed. "And also genius. Okay, so the seals are holding the energy in. But the energy is expanding. It's pressurized. If the pressure gets too high, the ink breaks? The seal weakens," Sakura corrected. "The seal on his stomach, the one holding the kyubi, is the anchor. The sentry energy has grafted itself onto that seal. It's using the fox's prison as its own. So we can't just suck the energy out," Tony realized, rubbing his goatee. "Because it's tied to the fox. And if we pull the fox out, Naruto dies," Sakura finished. "Jinchuriki die when their bijou are extracted," Tony sighed, collapsing into a chair. "So, we have a fusion reactor welded to a biological organism, protected by a magic fox, held together by ink, and the only off switch is death. Great." Tuesday. At the other end of the lab, Bruce Banner was looking through a standard optical microscope at a sample of Naruto's blood. "Tony," Bruce said quietly. "What?" "Come look at this." Tony walked over. Sakura followed. "I'm tracking the white blood cells," Bruce said, adjusting the focus. "Look at the interaction with the foreign radiation." Tony looked. On the slide, the cells weren't dying. They were fighting. But they weren't fighting the radiation. "They're organizing?" Tony asked, confused. "The sentry energy isn't just energy," Bruce whispered, looking pale. "It's sentient. It's rewriting his DNA. It's not killing him, Tony. It's optimizing him. It's trying to make him a better vessel." "Better how?" Sakura asked, dread pooling in her stomach. "By removing the weaknesses," Bruce said, looking up. "Emotions. Fear. Pain. The void is trying to turn him into a perfect, unfeeling god." Restricted area, Training Ground 44, the Forest of Death. Temporary containment zone. Naruto sat on a fallen log. The forest around him was quiet, unnervingly so. Usually, the Forest of Death was alive with the sounds of giant centipedes, tigers, and predatory birds. But today, the animals were hiding. They could smell the apex predator in the clearing. Naruto wasn't glowing. He looked normal. He wore a fresh orange tracksuit, though he had discarded the headband for now. He was staring at his hands, turning them over and over. Sitting across from him, on a large rock, was Dr. Bruce Banner. The man looked unassuming. He wore a loose purple shirt and gray slacks. He looked like a librarian, or a tired teacher. Not a monster. "You like ramen?" Naruto asked suddenly. Bruce blinked, surprised by the question. I've had instant noodles. They're okay. Instant is trash, Naruto said with a weak smile. You gotta have Ichiraku. Fresh noodles. The broth takes 3 days to make. It's the food of the gods. He paused, the smile fading. Gods. That's what the blonde guy Thor said I am now. A god. Thor throws that word around a lot, Bruce said gently. I wouldn't put too much stock in it. I don't feel like a god, Naruto whispered. I feel like a room that's too crowded. Before, it was just me and Kurama. And Kurama is loud, and mean sometimes, but he's my loud and mean. We understand each other. Naruto tapped his chest. But this? The sentry? It's not like that. It's like standing in the middle of a sun. It's just noise. White noise. And underneath the noise, there's the other thing. The void, Bruce said. Yeah. The shadow. Naruto looked up at Bruce. You have a monster too, right? The green guy? The Hulk, Bruce nodded. For a long time, I thought he was a disease. A curse. I tried to kill him. I put a gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger. Naruto's eyes widened. The other guy spit the bullet out, Bruce said with a dry chuckle. He wouldn't let me die. Because if I die, he dies. Or maybe he just wanted to live. Kurama is like that, Naruto said. He hated me. He wanted to kill me. But eventually, we realized we were stuck in the same cage. So we might as well be friends. The Hulk and I, we have an understanding, Bruce said. He's anger. Pure, unadulterated rage. When the world hurts me, he breaks the world. He's a shield. Is the void a shield? Naruto asked. Bruce hesitated. He looked at the young ninja, seeing the desperation in his eyes. He wanted to lie. He wanted to say yes, it's manageable. No, Bruce said softly. The Hulk is a child throwing a tantrum. The void is different, Naruto. It's not a shield. It's a cancer. It doesn't want to protect you. It wants to consume you. It wants to prove that you, and everyone else, are worthless. Naruto wrapped his arms around himself. He told me my friends hate me. He told me Sasuke is just waiting to kill me. He told me I failed to save Neji. He told me my parents died because I was born. He's lying, Bruce said firmly. That's what he does. He finds the cracks in your armor, and he pours poison in. How do I stop it? Naruto pleaded. I can't fight him, Bruce. He's too strong. When I try to use Sage Mode, he eats the nature energy. When I use Kurama's chakra, he turns it black. You don't fight him with power, Bruce said. He tapped his temple. You fight him here. You have to know who you are. The void feeds on doubt. If you know, with absolute certainty, that you are Naruto Uzumaki, that you are a hero, that your friends love you, he starves. Naruto looked down. I used to know who I was. I was the future Hokage. I was the one who never gave up. And now? Naruto raised his hand. A small spark of golden energy danced on his fingertip. It was beautiful, but terrifying. Now I'm just a bomb, Naruto whispered. Underground ceiling chamber 1. Beneath the Hokage monument, the chamber was circular, carved from bedrock, and lined with chakra-suppressing stone. The walls were covered in paper seals, thousands of them, fluttering in the air currents generated by the ventilation system. In the center of the room, Naruto sat in a lotus position. Surrounding him were the experts. Kakashi and Tsunade stood at the north and south points. Sasuke stood at the east. At the west stood Dr. Stephen Strange. The Sorcerer Supreme was floating slightly, his cloak of levitation billowing. He was creating a complex mandala of orange light in front of him. We are ready, Strange announced. His voice echoed, amplified by magic. The containment unit is active. The Avengers are on standby outside the blast doors. Remember the plan, Kakashi said, his hand over his masked eye. We are not trying to extract the sentry. We are trying to isolate the void. We want to build a wall inside Naruto's mind, a barrier between his consciousness and the entity. A partition drive, Tony Stark's voice came over the intercom. Good luck, wizards. Sasuke, Strange nodded to the Uchiha. I will need your eyes. The Sharingan can perceive the mental landscape. You will be my anchor. If I get lost in there, pull me out. Do not fail, Sasuke said simply. Strange turned to Naruto. Close your eyes, Naruto. Focus on your breathing. Imagine a door. A heavy door. Naruto closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. Ready, Strange began to chant. It wasn't a language the shinobi recognized. It was Sanskrit, mixed with eldritch tongues older than humanity. By the hoary hosts of Hoggoth, by the vapors of Volter. Strange placed his hands on Naruto's temples. Snap! The mindscape. Dr. Strange opened his eyes. He was standing in the sewer. But it wasn't just a sewer anymore. The water had risen. It was waist-deep, black and viscous. The pipes overhead were rusted and dripping gold. The walls were lined with mirrors, millions of them. In every mirror, a different version of Naruto screamed. Strange walked forward, his boots sloshing in the muck. He cast a spell of true sight, his third eye opening on his forehead. Show yourself, Strange commanded. The landscape shifted. The sewer walls melted away, revealing a vast, endless ocean of darkness. In the center of the ocean stood the cage, the great gate of the Kyuubi. But the gate was open. Kurama lay in front of it, his massive body pinned down by giant stakes made of black obsidian. The fox was breathing shallowly, his red fur dull and gray. Wizard! Kurama wheezed. Turn back. I am here to help, Ninetails, Strange said, floating toward the beast. He raised a hand to shatter the stakes. Don't, a voice said. Strange spun around. Sitting on top of the cage was a man. He wore a yellow costume with a blue cape. He looked healthy, strong, heroic. The sentry. Robert Reynolds. If you free the fox, the balance tips, Robert said, his voice echoing. The fox's anger feeds the void. We had to pin him down to keep the noise down. You are torturing a sentient being, Strange said, horrified. This is Naruto's partner. I know, Robert said sadly. But it's the only way to keep him asleep. Where is the void? Strange demanded. Robert pointed down. Strange looked into the black water. Beneath the surface, something massive was moving. It was the size of a continent. A swirling mass of eyes and teeth and tentacles. He's waking up, Robert said. You shouldn't have come in here, Doctor. Your magic. It tastes like seasoned meat to him. Suddenly, the water erupted. A tentacle of darkness shot up, wrapping around Strange's waist. Strange reacted instantly, summoning the flames of the fall team. Green fire erupted, burning the darkness. The void screamed. It was a sound that shattered the mirrors on the walls. Magic man, the voice boomed. You think your tricks work here? This is not your reality. The darkness rose, forming a humanoid shape towering over Strange. It had Naruto's face, stretched and distorted, with a mouth full of jagged glass. I am the end of all things. Strange cast the shield of the Seraphim, followed by the images of Icon, creating 100 duplicates of himself to confuse the entity. The void didn't attack the duplicates. It simply opened its mouth and inhaled. The duplicates were sucked in, dissolving into nothingness. He's eating the magic, Robert yelled. Get out, not without the boy. Strange shouted. He flew toward the deeper darkness, searching for Naruto's consciousness. He found him. Naruto was floating inside the void's chest, encased in a crystal of black ice. He was curled into a fetal position, his eyes wide open, staring at nothing. Naruto! Strange flew toward the crystal, summoning the axe of Angurumus. I'm getting you out. He swung the axe. Clang. The crystal didn't scratch. The axe shattered. Naruto's eyes shifted. He looked at Strange. He says you're weak, Naruto said. His voice was flat, emotionless. Naruto, listen to me. This is an illusion. No, Naruto whispered. This is the truth. The world is broken. Heroes die. Love is a lie. Why fight it? That is the void talking. Is it? Naruto tilted his head. Or is it just what I've always been afraid of? The void laughed. He is mine, sorcerer. He is the perfect vessel. He has suffered enough to understand me. The void raised a hand. A beam of anti-magic energy shot toward Strange. Strange crossed his arms. Winds of Watum. The winds deflected the beam, but the force of it sent Strange flying backward, smashing through the mental representation of the cage. "Run!" Kurama roared, straining against his stakes. "Get out!" Strange realized he had lost. He couldn't fight a reality warper in its own domain. He needed to retreat. "I will return," Strange vowed. He wove the sign for expulsion. Snap. Underground ceiling chamber 1. Real world. Dr. Strange flew backward as if hit by a cannonball. He slammed into the stone wall, cracking the bedrock. He coughed up blood. "Doctor!" Steve Rogers, who had insisted on watching from the door, shouted. Strange slumped to the floor, gasping. "Failed. Shield failed." In the center of the room, Naruto screamed. It was a sound of pure agony. The seals on the walls burst into flame. The paper turned to ash instantly. Naruto levitated. The air in the room turned cold, absolute zero cold. Frost spread across the floor, freezing the stone. "Naruto!" Kakashi rushed forward, but a wall of force knocked him back. Naruto's eyes snapped open. They were black. Pitch black. And then, they started to leak. Not tears. Black oil. "He's breaching!" Tony's voice screamed over the comms. "Energy spike is vertical. Run! Everyone run!" Naruto looked at Sasuke. "Why didn't you save me?" Naruto asked. His voice was a child's voice. "At the Valley of the End. Why didn't you just kill me?" "It would have been better." Sasuke froze. "Naruto, you left me alone," Naruto whispered. The black oil poured from his mouth now. "Everyone leaves me alone." The darkness exploded outward. "Sasuke, Susanoo!" Kakashi yelled. Sasuke reacted on instinct. The purple skeletal warrior flared into existence, wrapping around Kakashi, Tsunade, and Strange. The wave of black energy hit the Susanoo. The Susanoo, the ultimate defense of the Uchiha, cracked. "Impossible," Sasuke gritted his teeth, blood pouring from his eye. "It's eating the chakra." The darkness didn't stop at the Susanoo. It passed through it. It washed over them. It didn't burn. It felt like despair. Kakashi fell to his knees, suddenly remembering the sight of Rin's dead body on his hand. The image was vivid, real. Tsunade gasped, seeing Dan and Iwaki rotting in front of her. Sasuke saw Itachi, killing their parents over and over again. Strange saw his hands crushed and useless, ending his career as a surgeon. They were paralyzed by their own nightmares. Naruto floated higher. The ceiling of the bunker dissolved, not exploded, dissolved, into butterflies. Black, razor-sharp butterflies. He floated up, through the rock, toward the surface. "He's loose," Strange gasped, fighting the hallucination. "The void is loose." Topside Konoha, the sun was setting, but as Naruto rose from the earth, the sun seemed to dim. He hovered above the village. The golden aura returned, but it was tainted now, streaked with veins of purple and black. The villagers looked up. They saw their hero. They saw the seventh Hokage to be Naruto-sama. Someone cheered. Naruto looked down. He didn't see people. Through the filter of the void, he saw monsters. The ramen guy wasn't Tucci. He was a grinning demon offering a bowl of worms. The children playing weren't kids. They were goblins holding knives. Iruka-sensei wasn't smiling. He was wearing a mask of scorn. "They hate you," the voice whispered. "They always have. They only pretend because you have power. Look at them. They are the monsters." "Monsters," Naruto murmured. He raised a hand. "They need to be purified." A small ball of light appeared in his hand. It was the size of a marble. "Naruto, no!" Iron Man rocketed into the sky, thrusters at max. "Jarvis, divert all power to forward shields. We have to contain the blast." "Sir," Jarvis warned. "That marble contains enough energy to vaporize the village." "I know!" Tony yelled. "Cap, evacuate!" "Thor, hit him!" Thor swung Mjolnir, summoning a bolt of lightning the size of a skyscraper. "Forgive me, young one." The lightning struck Naruto. Naruto didn't even flinch. He absorbed the lightning. He ate it. He looked at Iron Man. "Quiet," Naruto said. He flicked the marble. It didn't hit Iron Man. It hit the space around Iron Man. A sphere of reality collapsed. Iron Man was swatted out of the sky by a gravitational shear, his suit losing all power instantly. He fell like a stone. Thor charged, shouting a battle cry. Naruto backhanded him. Thor, the god of thunder, broke the sound barrier, flying backward, crashing through the Hokage monument, taking the stone head of the fourth Hokage with him. Naruto looked at the village. Do it, the void whispered. Cleanse them. Naruto's hand began to glow brighter. The heat was rising. Trees were catching fire just from the ambient radiation. Suddenly, a sound cut through the noise. Naruto-kun! It was a soft voice. Weak. Terrified. Hinata Hyuga stood on a rooftop below. Her Byakugan was active, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't running. She was looking right at him. Naruto paused. The void flinched. Kill her, the void hissed. She pities you. No, Naruto muttered, clutching his head. Hinata, she thinks you're a monster. Prove her right. Get out of my head. Naruto screamed. He aimed the blast away from the village, toward the sky. Boom! The beam of energy pierced the clouds, the atmosphere, and continued into space. For a brief second, the night sky was as bright as noon. Naruto collapsed. The energy left him, leaving him hollow. He fell from the sky. Captain America, standing on a roof, leaped. He caught the boy in midair, shielding him with his body as they crashed onto a balcony. Steve checked Naruto's pulse. It was thready. Naruto opened his eyes. They were blue again, but dull. Broken. I can't. Naruto wheezed, grabbing Steve's uniform. I can't hold it back. The door is broken, Cap. Steve looked at the devastation around them, the cracked monument, the fallen Iron Man, the terrified village. We'll fix it, Steve promised, though he didn't know how. Naruto shook his head. A single tear leaked out. You have to kill me, Naruto whispered. Please. Before he wakes up again. Steve looked at the boy. He saw Bucky. He saw every soldier he had ever lost. No, Steve said. We don't trade lives. But as he looked up, he saw Doctor Strange floating down, looking battered and grim. He saw Kakashi and Sasuke emerging from the crater, looking defeated. And deep in the back of his mind, Steve wondered if the boy was right. Because for the first time since Thanos, Captain America was afraid they had already lost. The Forest of Death, Sector 12, the clearing. The Forest of Death had always been a place of hostility. It was a biosphere of oversized predators, poisonous flora, and shadows that seemed to stretch longer than physics should allow. It was a place where Chunin hopefuls went to learn fear. But for the last 3 days, the giant centipedes and tigers had been very, very quiet. They were hiding. Animals, even the monstrous ones bred by the first Hokages would release gone wild, had an instinct for the food chain, and they knew, with a certainty written in their DNA, that they were no longer at the top. In the center of the forest, a massive clearing had been established. It wasn't made by axes or saws. It had been made by Tony Stark, who had simply told his orbital satellite to mow the lawn with a precision laser grid. Readings are stable, Tony muttered, his face illuminated by the blue glow of a holographic interface. He was sitting on a crate of Stark Industries tech, sipping a cup of coffee that he had somehow synthesized using a portable fabricator. Well, stable is a relative term. He's currently radiating enough ambient energy to microwave a burrito from 50 paces. But he's not going supernova. I'll take the win. Captain Steve Rogers stood nearby, watching the center of the clearing. He had traded his cowl for a simple tactical headset, his shield strapped to his back. He's trying, Tony. The kid has heart. Heart doesn't stop nuclear meltdown, Cap, Tony countered, though his voice lacked its usual bite. Richards tried heart. Strange tried magic. We need data. We need to figure out the interface between his chakra network and the sentry energy. In the center of the field, 2 figures stood facing each other. One was Naruto Uzumaki. He looked small, wearing a simple black t-shirt and training pants. He was barefoot on the grass. The other was Thor Odinson. The god of thunder looked like a mountain of muscle and metal, Mjolnir resting casually on his shoulder. Again, Thor rumbled, his voice like grinding stones. Naruto panted, sweat dripping from his nose. I can't feel it, Thor. I can't grab it without opening the door too wide. You are thinking like a mortal wizard, Thor said, stepping forward. You are trying to weave the energy. You are trying to mold it like clay. That is how your ninjutsu works, yes? You take the energy, you shape it, you breathe fire. Yeah, Naruto wiped his forehead. That's how chakra works. Shape manipulation and nature transformation. The sentry is not clay, Thor said, pointing Mjolnir at Naruto's chest. It is the kiln. It is not the water, it is the tsunami. You do not shape it. You command it. Thor lowered the hammer to the ground. Try to lift Mjolnir. Naruto blinked. What? You said only the worthy can lift it. I am not asking you to wield it, Thor corrected with a grin. I am asking you to move it. There is a difference. To wield Mjolnir is a matter of spirit. To move Mjolnir against its will, that requires power that transcends enchantment. Naruto looked at the gray block of Yoryu metal. It looked heavy. Not physically heavy, Naruto could lift boulders in Sage mode, but conceptually heavy. Okay, Naruto muttered. Here goes. He walked up to the hammer. He gripped the handle. The leather was warm. Kurama? Naruto asked internally. Don't look at me, the fox grumbled from deep within the seal. This hammer smells like old stars. I'm not touching it. Naruto took a breath. He pulled. Nothing happened. It was like pulling on the earth itself. Use the chakra, Thor instructed. Naruto engaged his muscles. He flooded his system with chakra. The ground beneath him cracked. His veins bulged. The hammer didn't budge a millimeter. Sage mode, Naruto gritted out. The orange pigmentation appeared around his eyes. He drew in nature energy from the forest. The wind whipped around him. He pulled with enough force to topple a tailed beast. The hammer remained still. You see? Thor said, crossing his huge arms. You are using the energy of the earth. The earth cannot move the hammer, for the hammer is not of the earth. It is star-forged. Naruto let go, gasping. It's impossible. Now Thor's eyes gleamed with lightning. Stop being a ninja. Stop borrowing power from the fox. Stop borrowing power from the trees. Reach into the box. Just a little. Naruto froze. I can't. The void is right there. The void is a coward, Thor said firmly. It hides in the dark. You are the sunshine, boy. Just for a second. Impose your will upon the metal. Tell the universe that you are stronger than the enchantment. Naruto closed his eyes. He visualized the door in his mind, the one Strange had tried to seal. He didn't open it. He just looked at the light bleeding through the keyhole. Do it, the void whispered. Take it. It's yours. Naruto ignored the voice. He focused on the heat. The golden, searing heat. He grabbed the handle again. He didn't pull. He just pushed his existence into the handle. His eyes snapped open. They weren't blue. They weren't red. They were gold. For a microsecond, the gravity in the clearing reversed. Pebbles floated up. Tony Stark's coffee cup hovered. Naruto lifted the hammer. He didn't struggle. He picked it up as if it were made of styrofoam. He tossed it into the air, caught it, and slammed it back down. Boom! The impact created a shockwave that flattened the grass for 50 yards. Naruto blinked, and his eyes returned to blue. He looked at his hand, terrified. I lifted it. You did not lift it, Thor said, looking impressed but wary. You tricked the universe into thinking the hammer weighed nothing. You rewrote the rule of weight for a split second. That's cheating, Naruto whispered. That is cosmic power, Thor said gravely. And that is what we must control. Because if you do that by accident, you might accidentally decide that oxygen is no longer breathable. The observation deck. Temporary S.H.I.E.L.D/Konoha Joint Base. On the ridge overlooking the clearing, Kakashi Hatake stood next to Natasha Romanoff. It was an odd pairing. The copy ninja and the Black Widow. Both were spies. Both were assassins. Both had more red in their ledgers than they cared to admit. He looks terrified, Natasha said, her arms crossed, watching Naruto through binoculars. He should be, Kakashi replied, his eye fixed on his student. Naruto has always been a loudmouth. A knucklehead. But he's always been human. Even with the fox, he was just a human holding a monster. This is different. How so? The fox is just a massive pile of chakra, Kakashi explained. It follows rules. If you hit it hard enough, it hurts. If you seal it, it stays. But this thing you brought. We didn't bring it, Natasha corrected softly. It followed us. Semantics, Kakashi said. This thing doesn't follow rules. Did you see the air when he lifted the hammer? It didn't just move. It shivered. Like a glitch in a genjutsu. Tony calls it reality warping, Natasha said. Scarlet Witch, one of our friends, she can do it too. But with her, it's emotional. With the Sentry, it's existential. He changes things just by being there. Can you fix him? Kakashi asked, turning to look at her. Natasha lowered the binoculars. She looked at the silver-haired ninja. We don't fix people, Kakashi. We just point them at the bad guys and hope they don't break. Kakashi sighed, pulling down his mask to take a sip of water. That's a philosophy I'm unfortunately familiar with. The lab tent. So, explain this sage mode to me again, Bruce Banner asked, adjusting his glasses. He was sitting with Sakura Haruno and Shikamaru Nara. Shikamaru looked bored, but his eyes were sharp. It's about balance. Physical energy, spiritual energy, and natural energy. If you take in too much nature energy, you turn into a stone frog. If you don't take in enough, nothing happens. You have to be perfectly still to gather it. Stillness, Bruce mused. That's the opposite of the Hulk. The Hulk is kinetic. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets. Infinite escalation. Naruto is trying to mix the two, Sakura said, looking at the data readouts from Naruto's training session. He's trying to use the stillness of Sage Mode to dampen the noise of the Sentry. But it's clashing, Bruce pointed out. The Sentry energy isn't passive. It's aggressive. It doesn't want to balance with nature, it wants to consume it. Look at this, Bruce pointed to a graph. Every time Naruto enters Sage Mode while the Sentry is active, the local nature energy doesn't just enter him. It vanishes. He's not absorbing it, he's deleting it. Deleting it? Shikamaru sat up straighter. You mean he's exhausting the local supply? No, Bruce said, looking disturbed. I mean he's turning matter into antimatter. If he keeps doing this, he won't just turn into a frog. He might accidentally turn the atmosphere into vacuum. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered, reaching for a cigarette before remembering he was in a sterile tent. So we have a boy who is a walking black hole. A golden black hole, Bruce corrected. Which is infinitely worse. Deep space, Sector 77B. The universe was vast, cold, and largely empty. But to those who knew how to look, it was a garden. Urashiki Otsutsuki floated in the vacuum. He was riding a beast made of glowing chakra, fishing rod in hand. He had been hunting for a suitable planet to harvest, a world rich enough to cultivate a divine tree. He paused. His red Rinnegan snapped open. He looked toward a distant star system. Mamashiki-senpai, Urashiki spoke into the darkness. A figure emerged from the shadow of an asteroid. Mamashiki Otsutsuki, pale and regal, floated with an air of absolute arrogance. On his shoulders sat Kenshiki, his hulking guardian. What is it? Mamashiki demanded. Have you found the Nine Tails? I found the location, Urashiki said, grinning. But something is wrong with the signal. Wrong? It's not just chakra anymore, Urashiki giggled, reeling in his line. I tasted it. Just a ripple in the fabric of space. It tastes like creation. Mamashiki narrowed his eyes. He focused his own senses toward Earth. He felt it. It was a beacon. It blinded his sensory abilities for a moment. It wasn't the dull thrum of a tailed beast. It was a piercing, white-hot scream of power. That is not ninjutsu, Mamashiki whispered. That is primal energy. A star that has gained consciousness. If we eat it, Urashiki licked his lips, we won't just be immortal. We will be gods among gods. We could rewrite the laws of the clan. Mamashiki smiled. It was a cruel, hungry smile. Set a course, Mamashiki ordered. Forget the fruit. I want that boy. The forest of death. Sunset. The training had been going on for 6 hours. Naruto was exhausted. Not physically, the sentry power gave him limitless stamina. But mentally, he was frayed. Take 5, Captain America called out. Naruto collapsed onto the grass, staring up at the orange sky. The trees of the forest loomed over him, twisting branches creating a canopy that blocked out most of the light. Sasuke Uchiha walked over and sat down next to him. He didn't say anything. He just handed Naruto a water bottle. Thanks, Naruto muttered, sitting up and chugging the water. This sucks, Sasuke. It really sucks. Sasuke agreed. You lifted the hammer though. Yeah. But it felt wrong. Naruto looked at his hands. When I use Kurama's power, it feels hot. Angry. But alive. This feels cold. It feels like math. Like I'm looking at the world and seeing code instead of trees. Do not let it detach you, Sasuke advised. That is how Kagaya saw us. Not as people, but as chakra batteries. If you stop seeing the people, you become the monster. I'm trying, Naruto said. He looked at a small bush near his feet. It was a dead shrub. Brown, brittle, lifeless. It had probably been killed by the ambient radiation of the training session. I killed it, Naruto said sadly. It is a plant, Naruto, Sasuke said. It was alive this morning. Naruto reached out. I want to fix it. Naruto, don't use the power for petty things, Sasuke warned. I'm not using the power, Naruto insisted. I'm just wishing. Naruto touched the dead branch. He thought about life. He thought about Hashirama's wood release. He thought about how growing things should feel. Fix it, the void whispered. Make it perfect. Naruto's hand glowed. A soft, golden light. The bush didn't just turn green, it exploded into growth. In seconds it wasn't a bush. It was a tree. Then it was a massive, towering oak. But it didn't stop. Flowers bloomed on it, colors that didn't exist in the visible spectrum. The bark turned to gold. The leaves turned into crystal. Naruto, stop! Sasuke shouted, activating his Manjikyu Sharingan. I can't! Naruto panicked. He tried to pull his hand away, but the energy was pouring out of him like a broken faucet. The grass around them turned into glass. The air turned into perfume. The dirt turned into diamonds. It's beautiful, Naruto whispered, his eyes glazing over white. It's wrong! Sasuke yelled. He drew his sword and slashed at the connection between Naruto and the tree. The sword, a Kusanagi blade capable of cutting through diamond, shattered upon contact with the golden energy. What? Sasuke gasped, looking at his broken hilt. The wave of alteration expanded. It was moving fast. A ripple of perfection spreading outward. Alert! Jarvis screamed over the loudspeakers. Reality stabilization failure. Sector 12 is being overwritten. Tony Stark flew in, thrusters blazing. Naruto! Pull back! You're overriding the local physics. I don't know how. Naruto cried. The tree was now pulsating, beating like a heart. It was whispering to him. Make the whole world like this. No more death. No more rot. Only gold. Doctor! Captain America yelled. Strange materialized in a swirl of sparks. He took one look at the crystal tree and paled. He's not healing it, Strange horrified. He's evolving it into a higher dimension. If that field spreads, it will turn the planet into abstract art. Stop him! Tsunade roared, jumping into the clearing. Don't touch him. Strange warned. If you touch the field, your biology will be rewritten. Naruto was crying. I just wanted the plant to live. Then let it live, the void crooned. Let everything live forever. The bubble expanded. It was 20 feet wide now. Thor! Steve yelled. Knock him out. Thor spun Mjolnir. Sorry, little one. He threw the hammer. Mjolnir flew into the golden bubble, and stopped. The hammer didn't hit Naruto. It stopped in midair. The URU metal began to turn into flowers. By Odin's beard, Thor gasped. He is transmuting the metal of the gods. Naruto looked at the hammer turning into a bouquet of impossible orchids. He looked at Sasuke's terrified face. He looked at the Avengers. I have to make it go away, Naruto stammered. Yes. Tony yelled. Control Z. Undo. Go away, Naruto said to the tree. Just go away. He didn't want the tree to die. He just wanted the problem to be gone. He pushed. Delete. The sound was sickening. It was the sound of a vacuum imploding. The crystal tree vanished. The glass grass vanished. The diamond dirt vanished. Mjolnir fell to the ground, restored to metal, clattering loudly. But the beam didn't stop at the tree. It shot past the tree. It shot past the clearing. It hit the mountain range in the distance, the one bordering the land of fire. There was no explosion. 1 second, there was a mountain range. 3 peaks, covered in snow, ancient and majestic. The next second, there was sky. The mountains were simply gone. No rubble. No dust. Just a smooth, flat horizon where millions of tons of rock had existed a microsecond ago. Naruto stood there, his hand extended. The silence was absolute. Even the insects that had been hiding stopped breathing. Sasuke looked at the horizon. His Rinnegan saw nothing. It wasn't that the mountains were destroyed. It was that the space they occupied had been reset to 0. He erased it, Sasuke whispered. He didn't destroy it. He erased it from history. Naruto fell to his knees. He looked at his hands. They were trembling. I didn't mean to, he sobbed. Tony Stark landed. His faceplate retracted. He looked at the missing mountain range, then at the weeping boy. Jarvis, Tony said quietly. Update the threat level. Threat level updated to Omega, Jarvis replied. Classification, Reality Warper. Subclass, Unstable. Nightfall, the campfire. The mood in the camp was somber. The Konoha ninja were giving Naruto a wide berth. Even Choji and Shikamaru, his closest friends, were looking at him with a mixture of pity and terror. They had seen tailed beast bombs. They had seen meteors. But they had never seen someone accidentally delete a piece of geography because they were stressed. Naruto sat by the fire, poking the embers with a stick. He wasn't eating. Captain America sat down next to him. You okay, son? Steve asked. No, Naruto said. I'm a monster, Cap. A freak. You're not a freak, Steve said. You're a kid with a loaded gun that he doesn't know how to use yet. I erased a mountain, Naruto said, his voice cracking. What if that had been the village? What if it had been Hinata? That's why we're here, Steve said. To make sure that doesn't happen. You can't stop me, Naruto looked at Steve. Thor couldn't stop me. Sasuke's sword broke. If the void wants to come out, you guys are just paper dolls. Steve was silent for a moment. Maybe. But paper cuts can hurt. Naruto managed a weak smile. Across the fire, Tony and Sasuke were talking. Your tech couldn't analyze the wave? Sasuke asked. No, Tony admitted, tinkering with a tablet. It defied the laws of thermodynamics. Energy was created and destroyed. That's not supposed to happen. He's operating on dream logic. Dream logic? Dreams don't follow rules, Tony said. In a dream, you can fly. A tree can be a crystal. A mountain can vanish. The sentry makes his dreams real. If he has a nightmare, we all live in it. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Then we must ensure he does not have nightmares. Easier said than done, Tony said. The kid has PTSD written all over him. And the void is basically a nightmare generator. Suddenly, Naruto gasped. He clutched his head. Naruto? Steve asked, putting a hand on his shoulder. Someone is coming, Naruto whispered. His eyes turned white, glowing in the firelight. Who? Hungry, Naruto said. They are so hungry. He looked up at the sky. They want the light. The edge of the solar system. Momoshiki Otsutsuki stood on the prow of a dimension-hopping vessel. He held a half-eaten chakra fruit in his hand, but he tossed it aside. It tasted like ash compared to the scent wafting from the third planet. We are close, Momoshiki said. Kinshiki stepped forward. I detect heavy resistance on the surface. Strange energy signatures. Not shinobi. It does not matter, Momoshiki scoffed. Insects are insects, whether they use chakra or metal. He looked at Earth, a blue marble in the dark. That boy, Momoshiki smiled. He is not a Jinchuriki anymore. He is a key. A key to the dimension of pure will. Shall we proceed with the harvest? Kinshiki asked. No, Momoshiki said. We proceed with the capture. If we kill him, the energy might dissipate. We need to break him open and drink it while it's warm. He raised his hand. Prepare the descent. Konoha. Inside Naruto's mind, the sentry, Robert, stood on the water. The watchtower was shaking. He glitched, Robert said, pacing back and forth. He glitched hard. He erased a mountain, Kurama said, his ears flattened against his head. He didn't use a drop of my chakra. That was all you. It wasn't me, Robert said, stopping. He looked down at the black water. The water was bubbling. It was him. From the depths, a shape emerged. It wasn't the monster this time. It was a man who looked exactly like Naruto, but made of black oil and purple static. He wore a suit, a business suit, strangely enough. Nice trick with the mountain, the void, Naruto said, smoothing his lapel. Very clean. Stay back, Robert warned, glowing golden. Oh, Robert, the void laughed. You think you're in charge? You're just the battery. I'm the driver. The void walked on the water, approaching the cage. He looked through the bars at Kurama. Hello, puppy, the void sneered. Get away from me, Kurama growled, though he backed away. You're scared, the void noted with delight. Good. You should be. When the alien comes, when Momoshiki arrives, Naruto is going to panic. And when he panics, the void turned to Robert. I'm going to take the wheel. And I'm going to show this world what a real god looks like. The void snapped his fingers. The mindscape cracked. A fissure opened in the sky of Naruto's mind, revealing a burning red eye. Knock, knock, the void whispered. The real world. Naruto screamed. He didn't just scream with his voice. He screamed with his aura. A shockwave of golden light erupted from him, knocking the campfire, the logs, and the Avengers backward. Hostiles! Cap shouted, rolling to his feet and equipping his shield. Where? Up! Thor yelled, looking at the sky. A streak of red light was descending from the heavens. It was moving faster than a meteor. Incoming! Tony yelled. Impact in 3, 2, 1.